Hello, everybody. My name is Jacob, and I like sports. Welcome back to another edition of JK Sports. It's been about a month since I made that video with Tua Tagovailoa taking over as the Miami Dolphins starting quarterback. So it's been a while since I just sat here and talked to you guys. And today, I want to look at the NFL, NFL as a whole. We got a few division races that are really coming close that could swing either way. We got the wild card chase in the AFC that is really close. We got 5 teams going on it, and I do want to talk again, update my previously made Super Bowl prediction, which I believe I said I said the Ravens versus Tampa Bay. I want to update that. Some things have changed. And start things off, I want to talk about the AFC East. The AFC East is currently more competitive than it's been in the last 20 years, ever since all of us have been alive. Buffalo is currently sitting atop the AFC East, sitting at 7-3. We're sitting right behind them, half game back, 6-3. And then we got the Patriots 4-5, who they still have a chance at it, I guess. However, not as legitimate of a threat as a lot of people thought they'd be this year. And then, of course, we have the Jets just suck coming in at 0-9. So through 10 games, Buffalo hasn't hit their bye week yet. Their bye week is actually this week, and we play Denver Broncos this week. So assuming we beat the Broncos, we're going to be 7-3, as well as the Buffalo Bills being 7-3. They're going to have the tiebreaker on us, being that they're currently undefeated in the division, as well as they beat us earlier on in the year. So even at 7-3, we're gonna be in second place behind the Buffalo Bills. And both teams have played really well. Buffalo had a rough patch in the middle of the season, which they continued to win. However, games against the Patriots, games against the Jets, they didn't play as well as we thought they would, as we're accustomed to. However, in recent weeks, they've started to pick back up. Last week, of course, losing that ridiculous Hail Mary pass, which you can't really say, oh, they're not as good now. They lost on a Hail Mary. So they're still a really good team. And especially since John Brown has came back, Josh Allen has looked a lot more comfortable being able to spread the ball, not just to him, but all over the field. Cole Beasley last week had 11 catches, 100 yards, a touchdown. Stephon Diggs still has the most yards by receiver in the league. And of course, adding John Brown to the mix has made their situation a lot better. And then you look at Miami, we're on a 5-game winning streak, 3-0 with Tua coming into play. Scoring wise, we're 28 points game, sitting at 10th in the NFL, which at this time last year, I believe we were literally dead last. And then our defense has been amazing. Emmanuel Ogbah, Shaq Lawson, Kyle Van Noy have always all been great additions, as well as players that have already been there. Like Xavier Howard is, I believe, second in the league in interceptions. And the defense as a whole is only allowing 20 points per game, which is sitting at the 5th best in the NFL. So assuming both of these teams continue the form they're currently at and continue with that throughout the rest of the season, there's only one game for both those teams where you look at them like, yeah, they're probably going to lose. That being, we play Kansas City in 4 weeks, which we have 3 really winnable games leading up to that point. So we should be 9-3 going into a game against Kansas City at home. Probably going to lose that game. Kansas City is looking at the best team in the NFL right now. And then Buffalo, also, similarly, they got the hard part of their schedule out of the way, and they got to play Pittsburgh, and I believe it's the same. It might be the same week we play Kansas City. So we both have 2 pretty challenging games going forward, and we still have to play each other one more time. And that one more time is Week 17, where we both teams could go into that game with an 11-4 record, looking to take the division. And to spice it up even more, the NFL, I think the NFL does a great job with Week 17. They don't choose a Sunday night football game until the week of. And there's 2 games that could be for the division when it comes to Week 17. I'll talk about it a little bit next. However, the NFC West is also very tight with 3 whole teams, and the Cardinals and Rams play Week 17. That could be for the division, but sticking to Miami versus Buffalo, Week 17, we could see a Sunday night football game deciding whether the Miami Dolphins win the division. At the beginning of the year, if you would have said we made the playoffs, I'll take it. I'll run with it. I'd be so thrilled the fact that Miami Dolphins have progressed so far enough just to have a scent of making the playoffs. However, we're in a position where if we win out or lose probably at least 1 game to Kansas City, and assuming the Buffalo loses that 1 game to Pittsburgh, we could be in a heavyweight game to try to win the division. And I really hope we can get there. And that'd be a very entertaining game. I'm sure most of the NFL would love to see the championship of the AFC East come down to Miami and Buffalo. Now, with this, I don't necessarily want to make a prediction because, of course, the Dolphins fan in me says, like, hey, Miami's got this. We've played well these last few weeks. Tua's come in and played really well, and I want to make a separate video as to why I believe Tua's been such a success for the Miami Dolphins ever since he stepped in. But I don't want to outright say, "Oh, we got this," or "I don't think we got this." I think we have a legitimate chance, and I want to see us put in the work to get us to set ourselves up to maybe getting the division crown. And if that's the case, we probably at least will get a wild card spot. However, it's very likely that we could end up winning the division, but got to get there first. So this division is very entertaining. We got 3 teams in it. The Patriots are still competitive, so it's still any man's race when it comes to that division. But in terms of the wild card, it expands to even more teams. There's currently 5 teams that are all tied for all 3 spots. We got the Raiders currently sitting at the 5th seed. Got the Dolphins currently sitting at 6, Ravens currently sitting at 7, and the 2 teams that just missed the cut are the Browns Titans. And the fortunate thing for us NFL fans is that we get to see every one of those teams plays at least one more of those teams. I believe the Ravens play 3, or the Ravens or Titans play 3 of the other wildcard teams. So it's not that this is just going to stay a stalemate until last day of the season. We're going to see these teams have to fight off against each other. And the current seeding being Raiders 5, Miami 6, Ravens 7, I do believe it's going to stay that way. When you break down the schedule, when you break down the current form of things, the 2 teams that have struggled of late are the Browns and the Titans. The Browns' offense is very run-driven, and when they're running the ball well, and we saw last week in a game that was tailor-made for being able to run the game or run the ball 30-plus times, they didn't dominate the scoreboard. However, they controlled the game against the Texans team, who we all know has no hope for the season, and the hope that the Dolphin fans have in them continuing to lose and getting a high draft pick. However, Browns have been struggling of late to put up points. Odell Beckham's out for the season, of course, and Baker Mayfield is still a big question mark as if he's the long-term solution for the quarterback situation there. And then Tennessee Titans at one point was arguably the best team in the league. And since then, they've lost games against the Steelers, which was close, of course. However, they still lost. And then last week, a very underwhelming performance against the Indianapolis Colts, which saw them lose their spot as the division leaders. And their record or their schedule so far hasn't been the most challenging. So going forward, out of the 5 teams, breaking down the schedules, I see them having the hardest schedule as well as their current form being arguably the lowest among the 5. I do have the Titans missing out. I do have the Browns missing out, which leaves, like I said before, the Raiders, Miami, and Ravens coming up that wild card teams. But again, anything can happen based on these next few weeks. We can see either of these teams go up, go down based on form. However, I am optimistic as a Dolphins fan that we'll at least secure one of those wild card spots. Now let's go over to the NFC West, which, as I stated when talking about the AFC East, is just as competitive, if not more competitive. Well, it literally is more competitive than the AFC East, being the Seattle Seahawks last night just beat the Arizona Cardinals. So Seattle is sitting at 7-3. Rams haven't played this week, of course. They're sitting at 6-3, and the Cardinals have dropped from first place to third place, going at 6-4. Of these 3 teams, I do believe that the Rams are the best team. Now that is possibly a hot take because the Rams haven't been talked about as much as a dominant team ever since they lost the Super Bowl. They got manhandled by Brian Flores' defense, the New England Patriots in that Super Bowl. But this year they have a very legitimate team, and what I like about them is the fact that they can get it done on both sides of the ball. And that's one thing that both Seattle and Arizona struggle at. Arizona's defense has been mediocre, very average this year. They lost Chandler Jones very early on in the year, so Budda Baker being their best defensive player, he can't do everything himself. And then Seahawks, we all know that the defensive struggles they've had. However, I will say last night they did do a really good job of keeping both Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins at bay. Hopkins only finished with, I believe, 4 or 5 catches for 40 yards, and then Kyler Murray only finished with a mere 20 some odd rushing yards, which pales in comparison to what he's usually looking at, being that he was going into the game in the top 10 in rushing yards as a quarterback, not just amongst quarterbacks, but amongst all eligible players in the league. He was ranked really highly in rushing numbers. So Seattle did a really good job last night, and I would like to see them continue this, because with Russell Wilson, if you give Russell Wilson just a top 15 defense, that's a Super Bowl winning team. That's an arguably Super Bowl winning team. You got the best quarterback or the second best quarterback in the league who knows how to win in almost any circumstances. You give him a capable defense, and I do think that's a team that could be argued for the Super Bowl. And not just solely based on the performance last night, but how the Seahawks have still been able to win in spite of the defense, as well as of the 3 teams. I believe they have the easiest schedule. I think the Seahawks are going to win the division, even though I do believe the Rams are better. We saw last week that the Rams beat the Seahawks, so the Rams do have a harder schedule than both Seattle and Arizona. They have to play Arizona twice, which if I should look at it from right now, I would predict that they split that. But I do believe there's a chance that the Rams could take both games, with the Cardinals starting to drop in form a little bit. However, I do believe that the Seahawks will win the division. Don't believe they'll get the number 1 seed. I believe they'll lose 1 or 2 more games. But out of that really tight division, I do see Seattle winning that. And then it comes down to the Super Bowl. And I'd like to bring you guys my updated Super Bowl thoughts. Now, it's one side of it is a lot easier to predict than the other side. The top 3 teams coming out of the AFC for me is easily Kansas City, easily Pittsburgh, and honestly, I'd even say Miami is the 3rd best team most likely to win the Super Bowl. I'm not sure if the Bills are quite built to win the Super Bowl as they are now. However, we know Brian Flores has won a Super Bowl before, and he has a very strong defense, which is what he won the Super Bowl against the Rams on as the linebackers coach / defensive coordinator. So I do believe the Dolphins out of the AFC is the 3rd most likely team to win the Super Bowl, but that becomes a lot more challenging when you go and look at from the NFC side of things. Number 1 seed now is currently currently Green Bay, and they have a lot of flaws. All before I say this, all four teams have clear flaws that on any given Sunday could be exploited. Green Bay Packers' biggest flaw to me, they're too reliant on Davante Adams. Davante Adams has bettered his argument for being the best receiver in the game, having multiple 10-plus catch games, 150-plus yard games. He is outstanding. And the fact that teams haven't decided to double team him on literally every single play is absurd. They don't have anything else. They have a decent running game, which last week against the Jaguars was stifled. But still, Davante Adams got his share of looks. So if you can put a double team on him literally every single play of the game, and you have a legitimate offense and legitimate enough defense everywhere else except for that double team, you have a good shot at beating the Green Bay Packers week in, week out. The currently number 2 seed being the New Orleans Saints, we don't even know when Drew Brees is coming back. Taysom Hill is currently projected to be their starting quarterback, and while he's a nice gadget guy, I don't think they could win the playoffs with Taysom Hill as their starting quarterback. And the fact that they're starting him as starting quarterback, it leads me to believe they don't trust Jameis enough to step into Drew Brees' role and continue the offense. I think we'll see both of them going forward. However, not knowing when Drew Brees is coming back is a big deal. It is a big deal to me. The number 3 seed currently is the Seattle Seahawks, which I just talked about, their defensive struggles and how they over-rely on Russell Wilson at times. Last night, they didn't over-rely on him. The running game was going. The offensive line did well. Russell Wilson was stopped with the turnovers, which is what you're going to see from Russell Wilson if you give him enough protection, if you give him a running game, and if you give him a defensive cast that is going to make him feel comfortable enough to not have to force things. That's what you're going to get out of Russell Wilson. However, That's only one game. We saw it last night and against a really good offense. So yeah, good. But if they can continue that, then they're going to be a Super Bowl contender. If not, it's going to be really hard for them. And then the fourth team I like to talk about being the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. On their best, when they're hitting, they're easily best team in the NFC by far. Not even a question really for me, because the talent they have on both sides of the ball is very similar to the Kansas City Chiefs, how the Chiefs just keep accumulating talent for like pennies on the dollar. Hey, DeAndre Baker, whatever his name is, here's like $10. Can you come play corner? Sure. Hey, Le'Veon Bell, 500,000. All right. They just keep paying people. But if you look on the NFC side of things, Tampa is a very similar thing. They aren't bringing in a lot of people. However, they brought in Antonio Brown to a already stacked offense. That defense is also just as equally stacked. So what's the problem? Well, they give up they have so many inconsistencies. We see the stinker games they have against the Giants, where they should have lost that Monday Night Football game, where they were embarrassed. The worst game of Tom Brady's career against the Saints. And then the games against the Bears, which they lost, had 10 plus penalties. So what are you going to get from the Buccaneers week in, week out? Are you going to get the best team in the league, or are you going to get mistake-driven Tampa Bay Buccaneers? If we can get consistency out of them, I say they're the best team. However, in the playoffs, you got to be on your A game for 3 games in a row. And then you got to play in the Super Bowl. Assuming you're not the number 1 seed getting a bye, you got to play 3 games in a row and then the Super Bowl. So I'm not sure if they can have a 4-game stretch where they limit their mistakes and then they're on their A game. So all that being said, out of the AFC, my prediction is Kansas City Chiefs. And on the NFC side of things, honestly, for a team that most of the season I've been down on, and recently I can't help but say, you know what? They're good. I think it's going to be Kansas City and New Orleans. I think Drew Brees, this is going to be beneficial to Drew Brees. We all know that he's had much more limitations this year, the last couple years, than ever. My biggest doubt on them is the fact that the last few seasons they've had such monumental losses. Last year, of course, losing on a game-winning touchdown. We had the Minneapolis Miracle. We had the blown pass interference call. They've had 3 straight years of utter misery to end the season. However, somebody's got to win that conference. I don't trust Green Bay. I have a hard time consistently trusting Seattle and Tampa Bay. I don't know. I just don't know. So, as well as the fact that Tampa Bay, as things stand, currently had to go on the road 3 times in a row. I don't know. So, as things stand, got Kansas City going against New Orleans Saints to win the Super Bowl. Please tell me, though, what do you guys think? What do you guys think is going to happen? AFC East, AFC Wildcard, NFC West, and then, of course, the Super Bowl. Please let me know. Please let me know in the comments down below what you think, what you'd like me to talk about. I don't make a lot of YouTube videos as of recently. I've been trying to finish out this semester of school, been working a lot, just doing a lot of things. So please let me know in the comments below anything you'd like me to talk about. Thank you all very much for watching. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Bye.